It's interesting to see how characters who are strikingly different people and lead very different lives can believe in the same thing. But that's exactly what has happened in the case of Superman and Han Solo, when recently our favorite Man of Steel made a Star Wars quote even more iconic, and when Luke Skywalker had a Superman moment. Feeling a little confused? That's okay, because this video will explain both of these events. For starters, what ties Han Solo and Superman together? One of them is a costume-wearing do-gooder who always believes in sticking by his principles and devotes countless hours of effort to saving a planet doomed to disaster after disaster. The other is an iconic leader of the Rebel Alliance and has all the panache of a pirate who knows what he wants and knows how to get it. But what ties this Boy Scout level good boy to one of the world's, or shall we say space's, greatest troublemakers? Well, it's not their mind-blowing good looks or their impeccable and, in Gen Z terms, quirky sense of fashion. It's the fact that both of them like to challenge all odds. If you're a little lost as to what we mean, we're going to clarify that in a bit. But folks, you've got to admit that being as great as these men means that they need to learn to not only take their challenges, but also enjoy them. Great men can't be made in easy circumstances. Great power might mean great responsibility. Yes, we're looking at you, Spidey. But great power only comes after great hardship, and those who run away from hardship never go down in history the way these men have. Their relentless spirit of defying all odds to do what they want to do is what makes them one and the same. Up next, how did Superman embody Han Solo though? We recognize that we're being a bit of a tease and giving you a vague explanation without getting to the juicy, spicy part of the context. And that can be a little frustrating, but we promise we're getting into it. Anyone who hasn't been living under a rock knows that Han Solo is famous for his famous line, "Never tell me the odds." If you really think about it, this iconic rebel is just your regular, optimistic guy who believes he can achieve anything he wants to if he really puts his heart into it. Damn, that's a good attitude to have. What would we give to have been able to keep a little optimism around here? He doesn't want to hear about the odds because the odds are irrelevant. It doesn't matter if what he's trying to do has never been done before. Nothing is impossible. It just hasn't been tried by the right man. And of course, the right man is always our favorite captain, Mr. Solo. But if there's any man who can probably pull off a Han Solo better than Han Solo himself, it is none other than Mr. Clark Kent. In a recent encounter, we saw Superman embody the rebel's energy when he faced a situation that almost seemed impossible, but he simply decided that the odds are irrelevant. What needs to be done needs to be done. Moving forward, let's talk about the story behind this. We mean, as iconic and badass as Superman is, he's also famously known for being a do-gooder. He likes the rules, and he sticks by them. And we don't mean this in a fun way, folks. This Man of Steel has a heart of steel when it comes to putting his principles above all, and part of his belief is to follow and maintain law and order. Now, you're probably wondering why someone as rational and logical as him would throw all considerations out of the window. The situation must have been insane for him to give into Solo's level of insanity, right? Well, if that's what you're thinking, then you've guessed it right. Superman felt the need to resort to this principle in a moment of extreme crises. It quite literally came in during the Deceased event, when the cosmos is at the brink of destruction, and Superman has no choice but to say screw all and do what it takes to save us all. On to the next point. Let's look in more detail about what was happening. Story time, kids. It's time for a more detailed recap of what was happening that pushed Clark Kent to the brink of madness. So essentially, the anti-life equation has wreaked havoc across the world. Darkseid isn't the only thing impacted. Even the gods of New Genesis have been hit. Now, it's up to Superman, alongside our favorite billionaire playboy, no, not Iron Man, Batman, and a few of their nerdy little sidekicks. No offense to any of them, we love nerds, to save the day. Phew! That was a lot to read. Imagine yourself in that position. Can we really blame everyone for the sheer panic? We'd probably be hiding under our beds if we were stuck in a world infested by zombies. But Superman is Superman for a reason. And even when the lad was warned by an AI of 9th level intelligence that things seemed bleak, his response was optimistic. Superman. That's a lot of positive energy we're getting. And perhaps in a moment of crisis, that's what the world needs, right? Who cares what a super intelligent and wise computer has to say? It's just a computer at the end of the day. And what makes a hero is hope. Hope is what separates heroes from machines. And our Superman has plenty of that. Next, did Superman just make Han Solo's wisdom heroic? Friends, just because you believe in the same thing doesn't mean you're the same person. The context of this statement was very, very different for both parties. Han Solo defied all odds as a personal challenge. It was an act of rebellion. He simply didn't like the idea of being a man who would have restrictions. And while that's great self-esteem, his reasons were always self-motivated. Superman is a hero in every sense of the word, but especially when it comes to his selflessness. He wanted to defy the odds, not for himself, but for the rest of the world. His defiance was not a rebellion. It was an attempt to save all of humanity. As cool as these two men are, their motivations are very different, and we must bear that in mind when fangirling over them. Moving on from this, how did this even happen? Those of us who are permanent residents of the Star Wars world know that Luke may have a lot of magical charms, but this was definitely not one of them. In fact, many of us didn't even know that this was a skill that Skywalker could unlock, but we'd all like to take a moment to especially thank Tom and Cam for bringing back this ability to our favorite Jedi, because developing this skill made the world's greatest Jedi even greater. And who would have thought that that was possible, right? But if you're wondering how it happened, well, the origin story is a little Joker-esque, but it teaches us a valuable lesson. Even when something awful happens to you, at times, it just makes you stronger. After every fall, you rise again as a stronger version of yourself. And in Skywalker's case, it was quite literally a fall that gave him a brand new superpower. Our hero succumbed to the dark side, and the dark side is what allowed him to enable this force and gain mastery over it. Finally, where has this been so far? Now, you're probably wondering if Luke always had the secret power to be Space's Superman. Then, where has all this power been up until now? And why did we have to wait for Luke to move to the dark side for this power to finally be unleashed? Imagine the good it could have done. Well, it turns out that back in 2012, when Disney's Lucasfilm gained rights over Star Wars, they ended up erasing a large part of the expanded universe. This included the erasing of certain powers that were always a part of the canonical lore. Yikes. Imagine how much we've been missing out on. But thanks to Veach and Kennedy and their expanded version of Star Wars, we finally get to witness and experience all that we've been missing out on, including these super cool, super secret powers. You did us a great service, guys. Anyways, this is all for today, folks. How do you feel about this DC Star Wars crossover? Let us know in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.